Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast. Today, I'm going to be covering Season 3, Part 2 of Bridgerton, which just premiered on Netflix this past week. They released the last 4 episodes of the season. I am Liz Sago, and I will be your host for this solo episode today. So I am going to be getting into spoilers. So if you haven't watched Part 2, or if you haven't watched any of the Season 3, you should probably pause this video, go watch it, go binge it, and then come back and hear my thoughts on it. If you have only seen part 1, you can also go and check out my part 1 thoughts. That's in a different video that we have on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. So please go ahead and check that video out. But if you have seen all of it and you want to hear my thoughts, we're going to get into it right now. Okay, so Season 3. I'm just going to say, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and say this was probably my least favorite season. Between just the lack of chemistry, in my opinion, between the two leads of Penelope and Colin, the overwhelming amount of storylines that they had going on that didn't necessarily have weight to each of them, and that the screen time just wasn't a lot for Penelope and Colin. I think those are all things that led to me not absolutely loving this season. I was prepared for this show and this season to have just like an absolute chokehold on me like it has in the past. And I don't know, I just kind of was waiting for them to get a little bit more more interesting or surprise me a little bit more with the storyline, and they never really got me. So, that being said, I am going to go into depth. We're going to talk about the things that I did like and the things that I didn't like. So, let's get into it. Part 2. One of the things that I was hoping that they would do for part 2, because they didn't really do it in part 1, is Eloise's storyline. Part 1, she was kind of dull. Her storyline didn't really have a lot going on, and I actually think that she was just there because she's one of the most lovable characters, and so they were like, okay, we need to write her in somewhere, and they put her in of just happening to be a friend of what's the character's name? Cressida. And so part 2, when they finally come in and announce that Penelope and Colin are engaged and Eloise is just like rushes out of the room, I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. This is what I was hoping for. I didn't want her to just sit quietly and watch it happen. I wanted her to finally step up and be like, no, I'm not happy about this. You need to tell my brother. So that part, loved it. I thought it was super on par with her character. Part of me kind of wanted her to be the one to tell Colin, but I understand that like in the moment she didn't want to be the one to break her brother's heart, so she didn't. And with that being said, it would have just been very juicy if she told him. Like, it would have meant that their friendship was over. So I understand why they didn't go that route of having her tell Colin. I kind of also would have been interested to see Penelope tell him, but I understand why. It would have just been a fighting scene of him being like, I'm blindsided, and her being like, no, Colin, please. So I know why they didn't go that route. I did gasp a little bit when he found out that she was Whistledown, because I didn't think that that was going to be the reveal of him following her to the actual printing location. So they did a great job of finally dropping the pin and making Colin aware of the whole situation. Do I wish that it affected their I don't know. I just feel like he was supposed to call off the engagement. Like the fact that they still went through with the marriage and got married, and he like clearly they're like not on good terms, was wild to me. Now I get it, in the time it was like, no, you just need to get engaged. But still, I was like, I thought he would have put his foot down a little bit more because of how much he hated Whistledown in previous episodes and previous scenes. He literally just berates her. And the fact that he finds out that his now wife is that woman is, I thought he was going to have a more of a outraged reaction rather than just contemplating. I will say one of the biggest surprises that I had this season is Cressida. Cressida for me is such an interesting character, and I love what they did in part 1 for her. I think part 2 got a little a little bland. I really was shocked when she actually took credit for Whistledown. I did not see that coming. I thought that she was going to figure out who it was and she was going to out her. But the fact that she then made the whole story flip on its head by making herself Whistledown, oh my God, just like incredible. Because now it's this whole other layer of Penelope wanting to embrace her image of Whistledown and also protecting that image while trying to show the truth without actually showing the truth. There was so much dynamics that happened all because Cressida said that. With that being said, though, Cressida deserves justice because her character just was copped out as the villain towards the end. And she's not a villain. She really isn't. She's just trying to look out for herself and make sure that her future isn't just going to be being married and pushed off to some old guy who doesn't care about her just because her parents can't find her a suitable suitor. And so she's taking her own life into her own hands. But I think they got lazy with her writing and her character arc because they just made her as the villain that everybody hated, especially when she was like, oh, you owe me money. Like, I don't know. I think, yeah, she's looking for money, but I think she just deserved a slightly better ending because she wasn't doing it out of malice or being vicious towards these people. It was literally just to protect herself. So I didn't love what they did with her character at the end. I think they had a great story going on with her, but they dropped the ball in the end. Anyways, the other thing that I didn't love that I was really hoping for, which if you listen to part 1, I talked about this. I really loved what they were doing with the Mandric storyline of having a family kind of being swept up and being pushed into a different level of society that they aren't used to, and him having to possibly sell the club and now all of a sudden having a home and servants and like a whole different lifestyle. And they were getting such great momentum in part 1 to having them, I don't know where they would have gone with it. Maybe it's they get involved in the drama somehow and because they're so overwhelmed with being in this new world. But I felt like in this part 2, they just completely dropped off of the storyline completely for the Mandrics. It was like, yep, he sold his club and now they're rich and throw balls. Like there was no full circle moment of why they're telling that point of view for me, unless I missed a scene. But I don't think so. I think it literally was that they just started accepting their new lives and threw a gray ball and he sold his club and nothing ever accumulated of their storyline, which makes me disappointed because I felt like they could have had such a gorgeous telling of how weird it is to come from one level of society and financial class and be pushed into another one that you're really not accustomed to. And it's like, how did they just know how to act in high society? Like, I wish that they had shown a little bit more of the uncomfortable situations that come if you are just not used to this level. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people loved it and they just liked watching their story because they are very sweet people in the film, in the show, and they're not like douchey. So I don't know. But what other things did I want to talk about? Oh my God. The romance between Marcus and Violet Bridgerton. I want more. And I'm so excited that I hope that they come into the next season. I think that they delivered such beautiful breadcrumbs to make us just be like hoping that I don't know if I want them to get married. I don't know if I want them to have an affair or if I just like the tension between them two, because it literally feels like Violet Bridgerton is living the dream that she has been living through her children finally. And again, like I talked about, if you've seen part 1, I want Bridgerton, the storylines, to go this route because they now have a large pool of characters who are either widows or separated from their spouse. And I think there is a lot of room to grow and to explore in the romance of a second marriage or a second love. I think that is just something beautiful that they should be exploring. And they're giving us just a little taste of it, but not a ton in this season, which I appreciate because they already had so many storylines going on that it was hard to keep up with and really feel the tension grow. But I felt it between those two characters, and I'm really excited to see if they can develop it more in future seasons. Now, for me, the saving grace of this season, because honestly, Colin and Penelope, I really never felt the chemistry between them. It felt very much forced. It felt like, yep, we're watching friends become married lovers. Okay, there's no like spark, there's no love at first sight. It's just more of, I love you because you're my friend. Now we're getting married. And I don't buy it that she just got a new hairstyle and now all of a sudden he's attracted to her. But anyways, the thing that I think saved this show from really not doing well is the Featheringtons. The sisters and the mom, the transformation and change that their characters went through. Oh my God. It's everything I wanted. It's the sisterhood that we've literally been waiting 3 seasons to see between the 4 of them. Because at this point, the Featheringtons, all we've seen them do is just bicker, complain, attack each other verbally, not be on each other's side, come for each other. Like, we have not seen them as a unit that comes together and supports each other and shows love for each other. And the fact that we're able to now see Portia, the mother, be happy for her daughters and not be trying to scheme and use them, but instead be happy and joyous of where their lives are at, is just so lovely. Like, I love where her and Penelope, their relationship has finally ended, because it was just, that for me was so much more heartwarming than seeing Penelope and Colin together. And then even the sisters, what are their sisters' names? Were Prudence and Philippa, I think is what it is. Oh my God, that they're finally like friends and not just like sisters that are ripping on each other and trying to make each other the butt of the joke. Like, they come together and throw this gorgeous ball that they are just so overwhelmed by, and all their dreams have come true. I feel like this was due. It was due to not make them the butt of the show anymore and make them the funny sisters who just are down on their luck. For once, the Featheringtons have won, and they're high up in society, and they deserve it. I think that I'm excited to see where this new level for them goes. Of course, they're hilarious though too. So like, I don't want it to completely be gone. Just like the relationship that the sisters have of like playfully joking with each other. But I really liked the sisterhood feeling that they brought in for that female family. And so those are really the standout things for me. Like I said, this season really was not my favorite. I think they just had way too much going on and they didn't develop enough. Like, for me, the one thing that I didn't talk about that I wanted to talk about was, okay, Francesca. We got to talk about this. She was not the main character, but honestly, their storyline was so much more interesting for me than Penelope and Colins was. I get it. Penelope and Colins was big because the reveal of everybody finding out who Whistledown was huge. But I don't know. There was something about Francesca's storyline that for me had so much more change and truthfulness and was much more interesting to watch. And then they leave us with that final moment of her when she meets her now husband's cousin, Michaela Sterling. And she is just, you can tell by her face, she is taken back by this woman. Which, like, a crazy way to end the season, because you'd think that they would want us to believe that she's just going to go on and live a quiet, happy marriage with her husband and come into her own, which I think is so beautiful, because she said she was like, I need to go find myself so that I can come back and be with my family so that you guys can all know me. So it's not just that she's going with her husband married now and just like disappearing and never going to see anybody. She's going to find herself. And to now have this whole element of being attracted to her husband's cousin. Oh my God. I mean, like, talk about Bridgerton at its finest. The thing is, though, so I am not one of the Bridgerton book girlies. I do read books, but I haven't ever read the Bridgerton ones. The people who are book stans are not vibing with this right now because the cousin was initially supposed to be a male. And it's supposed to be, if I saw this correctly on Instagram, I'm pretty sure I did, that it's not supposed to be just a meet and she's taken back. It's supposed to be like a slow burn of she thinks she's attracted to him, but she's not. Maybe she's just lonely. So the fact that they wanted the audience to walk away being shocked that Francesca, who's the quiet, subdued one, is now all of a sudden into her husband's cousin is crazy to me, that they decided to end it that way. Yeah. And the other thing that I think is very interesting is the way that they've left it open for interpretation of who is going to be the next leading couple. Where are they going to be filming? Are they going to be filming in, I think it was Scotland where Francesca was going to? Are they going to follow her and Eloise there to tell their storyline? Or are they going to stay at the family homes and they're just going to be traveling in for trips? I don't know. I mean, season 4 has been confirmed and is in development, but nothing's been announced yet of who the next main characters are going to be. But it's definitely going to be one of the siblings. So the siblings that we really have that are options are either Eloise, Benedict, or Francesca. So I think it's going to be Francesca, who's the next star kind of, because they just gave us a lot of her this season without giving us a full scope. And so I think that they're prepping for her to carry an entire season. It could be Benedict, but I don't know. I don't think that his character has enough to go on yet. I mean, he had the whole relationship and like throuple thing going on until, I forgot her name, until the woman that he was having the affair with wanted to have an actual relationship with him and he said no, which I wasn't expecting. So I just don't know if there's enough for him to carry an entire season based off those crumbs. And Eloise, I don't think we're ever getting an Eloise season until they finally decide to end Bridgerton completely and she's going to be like the last season to wrap up the entire show, because that woman, that girl, there's no way that they can just cop out and have her fall in love and like be happily married and staying at home. There's no way. There's so much ambition. Like, I feel like they're waiting for time to keep passing until it becomes appropriate for a woman to not just have to marry. And then that's going to be Eloise's ending. But we'll see. I don't think that's coming next season. I could see Bridgerton going for like another 3 seasons or so. What else? The one thing that I also am concerned about for next season, just after the way they ended it, is we no longer have Julie Andrews doing voiceover. We now have Penelope voicing her own Whistledown writings, which, like, first of all, the fact that we're getting rid of Julie Andrews, like, is heartbreaking to me. Like, I don't really want to lose that vibe, but I get it. I just don't know if next season will be so fun, like so much fun and secretive without the air of Whistledown going on. Because now, like, that whole element of somebody watching them and knowing all their secrets before they do is gone. It's literally gone, because there's no way that Penelope's just going to be throwing out gossip and hot news when it's about her friends and family and herself and her husband. So I think it's going to take a very different turn, and I just don't know if it's going to be a good one. I'm a little concerned that they decided this season to tell the entire world that she was Whistledown the whole time. And also the fact that she just said, like, announced, like, yep, I'm Whistledown, and nobody really cared. And everyone was like, oh, that's okay, Penelope. Like, we'll still accept you as you are. Like, no, this woman, like, ruined some of your lives and, like, outed your deepest, darkest secrets. And you're just letting her, like, keep writing. That's crazy to me. yeah, I could go on. I could keep going on, people, but I won't, because I think I covered most of the things that I want to cover. Overall, this season wasn't my favorite, as I mentioned. I think that they had a lot going on and they had a lot of new storylines that they're trying to lay the framework for. Um, I'm interested to see what happens next season. It's just getting a little stale, in my opinion. I don't think that Bridgerton, they gotta shake it up a little bit. Either, I mean, I love the violin music, but it's a little predictable now at this point. I want them to throw us into a new world, which is making me think maybe we go to Scotland and we go to a different like area in the world and see how they deal with society and dating for the first time and finding a match. So I'm interested to see what happens. Either way, I'm watching whatever they put out because I'm a huge fan of Bridgerton. I love the stories. I'm going to keep watching it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you liked this season, if you completely disagree with me. As a couple of the people that I've spoken to already about it disagree with me because they think the season was another great one. Let me know if you were disappointed and you agree with me on some of these things. Let me know if there's anything that you're looking forward to in season 4 or you're hoping that they cover. Bridgerton's huge. I think they're just going to keep pumping out shows. I hope that they do another season in between Bridgerton. Like, I loved Queen Charlotte, that show, so I hope that they do something like that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And please comment, subscribe. We are en route to get 500 subscribers, so please subscribe. Help us get to that goal. You can follow us at Cinema Wave on Instagram and TikTok. We're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. So please follow us if you like this content. And again, let me know your thoughts. Just signing off, I am Liz Seiko. Thank you for watching.
This is the culture.